Give it back! Give it back! It's mine! That face! That body! Glass slippers! They're mine! Give it back! Give it back! I'm Cinderella, not you! Give it back!
Corruption. A dreadful thing that can grow in any of us, regardless of circumstance. For Cinderella, this statement, sadly, proved to be true. A NIKKE who wanted nothing more than to fight alongside her idols became the very thing she resented the most. Old Tales Part 1 expands our understanding of the events of Red Ash and sequential events leading up to Overzone. Unlike Red Ash, it is a fast-paced story that'll backhand you when you least expect it. But you know what is also unexpected? Wrist pain, which is where I introduce you to this. A beautiful mousepad to alleviate the stress on your wrist. This Cinderella mousepad, made by Miss NEKKE, can assist you in your everyday activities. Unlike pulling for Cinderella on the banner, this one is guaranteed for the low price of $40. You can get yours today and help support an amazing artist who's just as dedicated as I am to this community. Link will be down in the description below if you want either the normal version or the corrupted alter version on the website. Alright, that's enough happiness. Let's get back to the video. Old Tales begins by introducing us to a new set of characters. Cinderella, Red Shoes, Little Mermaid, Hansel, and Gretel. These are the second generation Grimm's models who were created by Abe, a genius VTC researcher who became a mass-produced NIKKE. These NIKKEs, under Abe's command, were on standby in order to ready themselves to join the fight at a moment's notice. Little did we know, the fight would be taken extremely close to home. As we know from the Red Ash story, Goddess was sent to rush the space elevator with Cinderella backing them up. In Red Ash, Cinderella is described as humanity's ace in the hole, but no one, not even Cinderella, could possibly predict what would happen next. Cinderella had looked up to Goddess for some time. Encountering them when she was still human, she had the opportunity to witness the might of Goddess firsthand. Encapsulated and enamored by their accomplishments, Cinderella was inspired to become just like them, to apply to be a suitor for the second generation of Grimm's models. She wanted nothing more than to fight with her idols, to show them that she too could help humanity reclaim the surface from the Raptures. At this point in the story, Rapture concentration was at an all-time high. More Raptures are being created, quickly replenishing the number humanity had fought so hard to destroy. Cinderella, in a last-ditch attempt to save humanity, was to be sent out with Goddess to storm the space elevator, to bring the fight to the Queen, and an end to this battle once and for all. Filled with excitement and glee, Cinderella waits with anticipation the following day. With the help of Red Shoe, she's able to get some sleep until the following morning, the day in which she would fight alongside her idol, the goddesses. This is where the first major discrepancy in Old Tales' timeline occurs, and the first event that catapults us into a cacophony of questions and mystery. Cinderella, only a mere hour before meeting Goddess, suddenly finds herself unable to move. She's trapped behind an invisible barrier, and what she witnesses next is nothing short of disturbing. Cinderella, by her own hands, begins to rip and tear into each and every member of her squad, her allies, her companions, but most of all, her friends. Each one of them, one by one, falls at the hands of Cinderella. Red Shoes has her legs ripped from her body. Little Mermaid has her jaw smashed to pieces, rendering her Kotodama ability useless. Hansel and Gretel have their arms severed, disconnecting the two from one another. Each affected area is also represented in the title screen for NIKKE's Old Tales event, the shattered glass indicating where the members had been injured by Cinderella. Cinderella had been corrupted, and strangely enough, it had been without any contact with the Raptures on the surface. These Nikkes were created in a lab by Abe, and since then have done nothing but conducted training and maintenance in order to ensure their combat ability once deployed. Unlike Red Hood, none of them had encountered Ultra, nor any raptures that could have corrupted them. At this time, according to the lost relics found in Old Tales, corruption was also described as something somewhat benign to Nikkes, a simple affliction that rendered them paralyzed for only a brief moment. For the more drastic cases, it was widely known that Nikkes could fend off corruption for some time too. Red Hood, once more, is a prime example of this case. The slaughter on the Elysian lab, to me at least, always struck me as a surprise attack, one in which the second-generation Grimm's models had no time to react. In some cases, that theory was correct, but there was no indicator that Cinderella was the epicenter of this attack. Not only did she nearly kill all of her companions, but she also let out a calling signal, drawing hundreds of raptures right to them. When all of this is occurring, Cinderella, imprisoned within her own corruption, can do nothing but watch. She can do nothing but scream, cry, plead, and try her hardest to break free. Unfortunately, despite her best efforts, they are ultimately all futile. A corrupted Cinderella walks calmly from the massacre that she just unleashed, leaving behind the bloodied corpses of the allies she slaughtered, walking past the raptures and proceeding upwards, never looking back at the carnage that she caused. This is the point in which the Goddess Squad makes their way to the Elysian lab, discovering the bloody scene that Cinderella had caused. It is also explained how Goddess reported seeing the second-generation models deceased. Abe, with the last of her strength, had dragged Old Tales to a secret facility within the Elysian lab. Using the hysteria as cover, she rushed to retrieve Old Tales' spare bodies, and over the course of 2 months, meticulously repaired them, bringing Old Tales back online. During the time in which Abe was repairing Old Tales, Cinderella had also been at work too. Under her corruption, and guided by the voice of her mirror, or what we assumed to be the Queen, she unleashed a volley of death and dismay. The sequence from Red Ash, which describes Cinderella, now dubbed Anachiro, decimating groups of soldiers and Nikkes, is somewhat visualized. The cries and screams of many who fell in her wake. All of this, to Cinderella, was to benefit humanity and the goddesses. The corruption within her had planted false beliefs in her mind, pushing her to allow these acts to continue. This is where there's one important thing to note, and a very suspicious interaction to break down. You may be asking yourself, how could a Nikke who had never encountered raptures possibly become corrupted? Well, there is a theory out there, one that may just explain it. Abe is not the only researcher from VTC. Red Shoes, one of Cinderella's allies, was also a brilliant researcher and figurehead within VTC. It just so happens that, prior to Cinderella's corruption, she has 2 instances where she encounters Red Shoes. The best working theory is that Cinderella was corrupted intentionally, and quite honestly, unless Abe is some criminal mastermind, I don't see her going through with it. I do, however, see someone who's jealous of Cinderella doing such an act, and Red Shoes fits that bill perfectly. Red Shoes' fairy tale is one that warns against sins like vanity and greed. The story follows a young dancer who seeks to obtain vibrant red dancing shoes. Through many desperate acts and greedy decisions, she finally comes into possession of these prized dancing shoes. And despite this, these shoes cause her to go mad. She dances and dances until she finally begs for an angel of death to kill her. For Red Shoes in Nikke, she longs to obtain power and unify everything. She also sought fame as well, which is where the jealousy for Cinderella originally stemmed from. Not only was Cinderella incredibly strong, but also, with this interaction with Goddess, she'd reached the fame that Red Shoes had longed for. Both things Red Shoes wanted to obtain, but fell short of doing so. Corruption just doesn't magically occur. It's entirely possible that Red Shoe had tinkered with Cinderella, whether it had been with the tea that she gave her, or while conducting maintenance alongside Abe. It just seems way too coincidental to be written off. Red Shoe's fairy tale, her goals, the fact that she's a researcher. For now though, we wait till part 2 to have those questions answered. With Cinderella continuing her rampage following her encounter with Goddess, Abe works day and night to repair old tales. The VTC, having dubbed Cinderella as a traitor to mankind, by proxy, also incriminated her squad members as the same. Knowing this, Abe kept the repair in secret, operating under the nose of both the VTC and the central government. Cinderella, at this time, was left to do as she pleased. With Lillywise exhausted from their first encounter, and Red Hood removed from the picture, Goddess was heavily fractured. Even with all their remaining forces, they wouldn't stand a chance against Cinderella. Upon awakening from their slumber, Old Tail is briefed on their current situation, all except for the tidbit about VTC and the central government. Abe brushes off her lack of communication to the comm system being down and her being unable to repair it. Of course, the one who repairs the comms and contacts the central government was Red Shoe, the same person I and many others suspect to be a mole amidst Old Tails. Now, thanks to Red Shoe, Old Tails is on the run. Escaping from Oswald, they make their way to the surface to prove their innocence once and for all. The scene with Oswald also confirms the very obvious suspicion that Abe is Grave, which would explain how Grave knew how to maintain and repair Cinderella in the decades that followed. All the while, Cinderella had watched these events unfold, slowly losing herself with each passing moment. Everything she did was for the Queen. All she was for the Queen. Anything the Queen wanted, Cinderella, in her catatonic state, would do. That was until she reunited with her comrades once again. The ending of this event is yet another cliffhanger and reveals a sad revelation in the Red Ash animation we got last year. In another futile attempt, Old Tails faces Cinderella, only to be knocked down one by one. Before they're defeated, however, we see the weaponry that each of them uses, a unique bunch of Nikkes to say the least, and something I'll be dedicating a whole video to in the future. As each member of Old Tail falls, Abe is the last one standing, using the last of her strength to make her way to Cinderella. She continues to toy with Abe, shooting her little by little until she's rendered immobile. Before she falls, Abe causes the trapped conscious of Cinderella to finally fight back.
Look at yourself right now. You're so beautiful. What have I done? Let me out! Let me out! I said let me out! I will never forgive you for this! Never! I'll kill you! I swear it!
Now, Cinderella realizes there's only one thing she can do. To save the ones that she grew so fond towards, she agrees to accept the mission of the Queen. She accepts the objective to kill her idols, the goddesses of victory. This was, as Cinderella acknowledges, a suicide mission. This also explains why she was smiling when Red Hood defeated her at the end of Red Ash. Cinderella never wanted to hurt Goddess, and when she finally realized the horror of what she'd become, she wanted nothing more than to be freed from her prison. To her, this was her best chance, both for the survival of her allies and the death of the monster she'd become. Corruption at this time had no cure, so Cinderella did the next best thing. She'd die at the hands of the ones that she idolized the most. A beautiful death, one befitting of the NIKKE Cinderella. With so many questions and so little answers, we wait with anticipation for NIKKE's next installment of Old Tales. This was a wild ride, and there's a lot left to cover in future videos to come. How are you enjoying NIKKE's second anniversary? And what was your favorite part of the first installment of Old Tales? Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. Anniversary is quickly ramping up, and we're all in for a bumpy ride. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see you all in the next video. Jane.